Hey Booktube, this is Holly and this is my first Booktube video. So I decided it would be best to answer the newbie questions so you guys can get to know me. The first question is, why did you start this channel? Well, it wasn't until last year, I think, that I even found out about Booktube. I was watching AuthorTube videos and I stumbled upon Murphy Napier's channel, I think it was. And I found out I really enjoy listening to people talk about books. And I really enjoy talking about books myself. Where I come from, most people read. Not everyone is an avid reader, but the culture is kind of a reading culture. But we don't generally talk much about the books that we are reading. We don't really have many book clubs or read-alongs or anything like that, like I've seen in the US. So I had really no idea that I would enjoy listening to people talk about books or even enjoy talking about them myself, except maybe like, oh, what are you reading? And I'm reading this, and that's it, and it would be a short conversation. So yeah, we had this one show, and we still have this one show, which is actually rather popular here on TV. And it's about books, but none of the books that they talk about are books that I like reading. It's mostly literary fiction, and although I do like to read literary fiction, I just don't like to read every type of literary fiction. So I had no idea that I would enjoy this so much. So here I am. I'm wanting to be a part of this. Okay, so the second question is, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? Well, I guess my taste is rather eclectic, so I don't think that I would necessarily bring anything new per se. But I'm Icelandic, so I would probably talk about Scandinavian books. Preferably those that have been translated into English. Yeah, maybe you guys can find some books here that you might otherwise not have heard of. The next question is, what are you most excited for about this new channel? Well, just honestly trying something new. I think it will be an exciting challenge for me to put myself out there. I've never had an online presence like this. I've never had a channel or anything like that. I hope I get to know some other book nerds like me. That's what I'm most excited for, being a part of this community and trying this new thing. The next question is, why do you love reading? I just love escaping reality. Not that my reality is, awful or anything. I just love being immersed in a new world, being inside somebody else's head, living the story through them as if it were me, kind of. Of course, it's not me, I know it's not me, but it's a different kind of experience than from movies, because you're a spectator when you're watching a movie, but you're more immersed in the story when you're reading it, and there's more in books that is left up to your interpretation than there is in movies, because in movies kind of what you see is what you get. And don't get me wrong, I love movies, but yeah, I love reading because it's just a different, more immersive experience. And I love fantasy, for example, and fantasy TV shows and movies are very expensive to film and produce, so there aren't that many of them, at least not to my taste. So to get that fix, I read books. What books or series got you into reading is the next question. There aren't any specific books that got me into reading. I've been reading since I was 5. I guess I remember when I was a teenager, I used to go to the library and I would read mysteries and thrillers a lot. and Agatha Christie and some of the Scandinavian authors and Icelandic thriller authors. And I would read, yeah, some Stephen King. But everything changed when I read Lord of the Rings. A friend of mine lent it to me. She had all of the 3 volumes, and I devoured them in, I think it was like a week, 10 days, something like that. And I just couldn't get enough of being in this world. And I just became obsessed with it. Not like obsessed. I haven't read like every single thing by Tolkien. I mean, I read the Silmarillion and the Hobbit, but nothing else. So yeah, when I went to college, I had a bit of a trouble deciding what I wanted to study. So I took my time. I also had 3 children while I was at it. So I changed degrees quite a lot, and as I was having my kids, I think there were quite a few years that I didn't read as many books as I would have wanted to otherwise, because I was just exhausted from reading for school. So I don't think I've been an avid reader again until maybe 2 years ago. And that's when I read Queen of the Tearling by... who was it by? No way. I can just Google that. Wait a minute. Queen of the... Erica Johansson is her name, the author's name. So yeah, The Queen of the Tearling. It's a trilogy that really got me into reading again. It's not that I didn't read any books while I was in my 10-year reading slump. So off to the next question. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I would ask them what their favorite books or book or series were in a genre they don't normally read in. And actually, Murphy Napier answered that question for me the other day. Okay, I was super happy. Thank you! What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? The technology and motivating myself to upload regularly, and I guess try not to be insecure about my accent, because obviously English is not my native tongue. When did you start reading? When I was 5. Where do you read? I read in my lazy boy chair mostly, but I also read in bed and my couch, and I listen to audiobooks as well while I'm cleaning, doing laundry, cooking, driving. Yeah, I try to make use of the time that I do have where I can listen to audiobooks, because I'm a mom of 3. So what kind of books do you like to read? As I said, my taste is pretty eclectic. I like fantasy, both YA and adult. I like mysteries and thrillers. Some romance. Not all romance. It's not my favorite genre, but I do read some romance. I like historical fiction. What do I like? I like non-fiction, like history, psychology, spiritual, occult stuff, something like that. What else do I like? Do I like anything else? I don't think so. Oh yeah, I like memoirs, especially if they are by people who have been through something that not everybody goes through. Doesn't have to be something horrific or anything, but like, yeah, like a different experience. For example, He Was Called It, I think it was called. It was a book that came out several years ago. So I think that was the last question. I hope I'm not wrong. So yeah, I think that was the last question. So thank you, and I'll see you next time. And if you like the video, please hit subscribe and ring the bell and see me next time. Bye!